Hello and welcome to another episode of Contemporary Living. We are so glad that you have decided to take out time to join us here live. I'm excited to be here. What about you, Andre?
Yes. Good evening, everyone. We're glad that you tuned in to Contemporary Living tonight, where we provide lifestyle solutions for everyday people. And before we get started, as always, we like to jump into our housekeeping notes. Just to let you know, that if you want to contact us, you can contact us at Contemporary Living with Harmon Hill at gmail.com. If you want to be a guest on our show, or if you have some valuable information you would like to share with us, please send us an email. Also, if you're on Facebook, you can follow us at Contemporary Living with Harmon Hill on Facebook each and every day. My wife is posting up great information, knowledge information, and she always has posts that's going to make you laugh. Also, if you're watching us right now on YouTube, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, hit the like button, and share Contemporary Living with Harmon Hill as well. And also, if you're in the Chicagoland area, just to let you know, we still come on each and every Thursday night, 9 p.m. Central Standard Time on Comcast Channel 19. And if you're watching across the globe, whether you're in Texas or in Florida, you may be over in Africa, you can download the E360 app on Roku. You can what else we on? Apple Television as well. So you can download the E360 app and catch us each and every day. Actually, we on every other Sunday, but you can catch us each and every day on Facebook as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so we appreciate each and everybody for tuning in tonight. We have a great show ahead of us tonight, so I'm very excited.
Me too. But before we get started, one of the things you said, Andre, is I post funny stuff each and every day. So this is funny. So if I lose I'm trying new eyelashes, you guys. All the women know about this.
Okay.
I'm trying new eyelashes. So if this if this eyelash falls off, we're just gonna keep rolling right on through. And as you can see behind me, I've got my shadow with me today.
Yeah, so we're actually at a campground. Me and my wife, we talked about it last show. We became minimalists. We pretty much moved out our 4-bedroom, 3-bathroom house. We rented it out. And we started really downsizing on clothes and furniture and everything else. And we're looking to be nomads as well. Right now, we are technically nomads. so we're looking to be in the Indiana area for 7 months. And then when the winter hits, we're going to migrate to the south.
Yep.
Yeah. So
but before all of that happens, I know I want to talk about our guest that's about to come on. I know a lot of people have reached out and we've talked to people about Airbnb. People are so interested in Airbnb. They have fears, they have doubts, they don't know how it's going to work. So today we've got a guest that's been here before. He's a friend to the family, he's a friend to us. But he's been on the show. He came on Contemporary Living when we were on Comcast in 2019.
Yes.
And he talked about real estate investing. But we've got a whole Airbnb show for you today. So without further ado, Andre, he is an author. He is a real estate investor.
Yes.
He is a United States Navy veteran.
Yes, absolutely.
He is an Airbnb Superhost. And what I really like is that he definitely knows how to take a piece of property that some would consider trash and turn it into a treasure. And those treasures equal dollars, you guys.
Yes.
So without further ado, we welcome Mr. John Harmon.
John, welcome.
Hello, guys. The way that you introed me, you said super host. I almost thought you were going to say superhero. The way you got
Hey, so before you even get started, I got to tell people how I met you, John. So I'll make it very brief. So a couple of years ago, in Joliet, Illinois, the Fairview Housing Project had become pretty much inhabitable. And so what happened was they had to tear the projects down because it was so violent over there, drug infested, roach infested, mice infested, and they had to move the people out. A lot of the tenants had evictions on their record, anywhere from 1 to 9 evictions on their record, literally. John was one of the landlords that we reached out to that helped us house a lot of those individuals that needed low income housing for the Section 8 voucher program. So John came in. He was a blessing to us. He looked out for a lot of the tenants and the residents, and he worked closely with us at the Joliet Housing Authority. So since then, we have built a bond with John. He's actually one of our only guests that has been on our show twice.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, so
actually 3 times because we had a part 1 and a part 2.
Yes, we had a part 1 and part 2.
Actually,
That's right.
Time he's been.
Yeah, so John, thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Well, thanks for the invite, guys. It's an honor to be on here with you in your new format. So I'm excited.
Yes.
Thank you so much. So we are going to jump into the questions. So the first question I have for you, first off, thank you for your service.
Thank you.
Now, in a previous interview, like I said, we interviewed you twice before. You told us that your career in real estate investing began shortly after you left the Navy. So tell us about that first real estate purchase.
That first purchase blew me away. It's strange to imagine. You come out of the military, you can put your entire life savings very comfortably in an empty wallet. Okay. I was broke, freshly divorced. I had nothing really to my name other than a sea bag with some old beat up clothes. And that's what I came out with.
Oh, wow.
My brother helped me. He got me set up. I stayed at his house for a little bit. And then one day he got tired of me sleeping on his couch. He says, hey, let's go check this house out. So get in the car. So we drove down and we looked at this little house in Lamont. Lamont's kind of an uppity kind of a neighborhood. And we went and looked at this house. And after walking through it, the place was little. It was really run down. It hadn't had a lot of attention in years. And he looked at me and says, do you think you can fix it? I said, well, of course I can fix it. He says, well, let's buy it. And I'm like, okay, buy it. He goes, no, you're going to buy it. I'm like, how am I going to buy this thing?
All right.
Talked to the realtor, and he got on the phone with his banker. He says, "Hey, my brother just got out of the military. He's broke, but we just found a house and we're going to buy it." So between the banker and my brother, they put a creative strategy together that worked for me. And we bought the house. And I didn't have a cosigner. I didn't have any down payment. And after I realized how it went together, I fell in love with real estate. It's why doesn't everybody understand how creative thinking can work and the acquisition of their own home or a second property, an income producing property? And I fell in love with it. And it was just, it's like air. Every time I do a project, I get excited about it.
Yes.
It's passionate. I mean, I'll get in your face because I'm excited about it. Hey, don't you understand? So, but yeah, it's that's how my first project went. And I stayed in that house for, I don't know, a handful of years. And fixed it up on weekends and evenings. And that's the first property I ever sold that made me six figures.
Wow.
Even though I stayed there, I made six figures on that house.
That's amazing.
It sold the first day for $10,000 above my asking price, and it just blew me away. It just added more fuel to my fire on more real estate and how I could help others by what I was learning.
Absolutely. I really love the way he said they put it together creatively, a package that would fit into his budget, where his life savings was in his wallet. So
empty wallet.
Empty wallet, yeah. So there you go.
Now, John. You were doing Subject 2. Can you tell our audience a little bit about Subject 2 and how that worked? Because I know that helped you build your wealth and income as well. And just to let our viewers know that you can comment below if you have any questions throughout the show tonight, and we'll be keeping an eye out on the questions, and we also will be able to answer your questions as well. But tell us a little bit about Subject 2 and what is it?
Subject 2 transactions are when you take over a piece of property, but you're leaving the existing mortgage in place. So if I'm buying your property, but you've got a mortgage on it, and the mortgage is still good for me, it's still got a good interest rate, you're on the back side of the mortgage. Because in the beginning, when you do a mortgage, it's an amortized loan. And amortized loans are evil for homeowners. They really hurt people because of the way that they're structured. But that's what all homes are mortgaged on. So, but if you're on the front side of an amortized loan, you pay all the interest before you pay really any principal. You're paying more interest than principal. On the back side of the loan, you're paying more principal than you are interest. So if a mortgage is appealing to me that way and the interest rate is good, I'll try to leave that mortgage in place. I'll buy their property and I'll leave their mortgage in place, and in the right circumstances, they'll end up with money above that, but I'll leave their mortgage in place for as long as it suits my needs. And then it doesn't hurt them if they're having credit issues and they're getting ready to go into foreclosure or pre-foreclosure or something like that. Me taking over their mortgage and helping them by making their payments on time builds credit up. So over time, even though they're not really part of their mortgage, I'm helping them build their credit by making their payments on time. Even though the closing's done, it's officially my house, I'm still building your credit by taking your mortgage. So it's a creative strategy that works very well, and I've done it quite a few times, and every time I've done it, it's been an amazing success.
Excellent. Nice.
Wow. So let me ask you another question. So now your Facebook page, and if you guys are not Facebook friends with John Harmon, please send him a
send John Harmon a Facebook invite. Send him a friend invite, and follow him because you can see a lot of his work.
Man, it's like watching episodes of Flip or Flop. I mean, it's like a whole television show. Your Facebook page. So we know you're into rehabbing properties, flipping properties, and doing things like that. Give us just a few maybe pros and cons, because there's so many people that want to get into real estate, but they don't know, like, they're only seeing the upside. So there are pros and cons to willing to flip. Can you give us a few of those? And I know we're here to talk about Airbnb, but these are some burning questions that people
have. the projects that I do, every house that I come across, I'll find a house abandoned and I'll track down the owners. Somebody will come to me and tell me that they're in real estate problems. They have major problems in the real estate. They need to solve the real estate issue and they don't know how. So when I go into it, I don't have a set program when I look at a house. Every house doesn't fit the same structure. I'll look at one house and it'll be perfect for a fix and flip. The numbers work, the house works, the neighborhood works. It's a good fix and flip. I can get them out of their problem. I can fix the house and sell it. Some are long-term rentals. So every house tells me a different story. And you got to go in there and you really got to know your neighborhood. You really got to, it's called farming your neighborhood. So you got to understand your neighborhood to figure out how this house is going to benefit the community the best, how it's going to benefit the person that's selling me the house, and how it's going to benefit my business. So every house tells a different story, but the fix and flips are the absolute most risk involved. You can make huge mistakes on a fix and flip. If you're not prepared, you don't have the right crew. There's so many things that unless you've done a handful of them, and I do mean a handful, 6 to a dozen, you can make big mistakes. And one little mistake can lead to huge financial hardships in the family. Most people that want to dream about getting into real estate want to buy a house, fix it, and sell it.
Yeah.
You really need to pair up with somebody that's done a bunch of these to stop you from making a mistake, because it's so easy for new people to make a mistake. That mistake will suck your savings out, will cause huge drama in the family. And I have bought property from people that have bought a fix and flip, failed it together, and it caused so much hate and discontent. They were leading on a divorce, their family, their life savings was gone. It was really a bad situation. So I took over the property and I fixed it. But be very careful thinking that a novice can go in and do that without drama, because it's not going to happen.
Before we move on, John, one thing you hit on the head when you talk about partnerships. Now, let our viewers know about your mentorship program. So, because some of them may want to be mentored by you. They may want to learn from you. So tell us about your mentorship program and what do your students get out your program?
Well, I'm part of a real estate educational group that actually takes people that are serious about learning the ins and outs of different strategies about real estate. And we walk them through a process of education. And then people like me, they'll when it comes time that they're ready for the next level, those people will find people inside the group like myself that are seasoned investors. They'll follow me to my projects. They'll tie into me, and I'll help them along to make sure they don't do anything stupid. Okay? Right. I've walked through a lot of properties with some of the people that I don't call it mentoring. I'm just helping them. So I've walked through properties with them, showed them things that they've missed. I've walked through contracts. I've showed them different areas that they need to stay in, stay out of. Talk people completely out of projects because they weren't ready. And I pushed people that were ready, that were sitting on the fence too long, going, let's get you started. Let's go do something. You've got the skills. You've got the backing. Let's go do that. But that's what you need. You can't go and read a book and figure that you're going to be a good investor. That's a recipe for disaster. You need to be able to invest in yourself first. When you're ready, people like me will show up and we will help you. So that's what I got to tell people is invest in yourself first, because that's the first thing that people really mess up is they think they got some money in the bank. They just want to go hog wild and go buy something. And those are the people that are really going to either be amazingly lucky or it's really going to hurt them. And they'll have a bitter taste in their mouth forever on real estate investing. All that stuff doesn't work. No, you're not ready for it to work.
Wow. So there you have it. Like I said, send them a Facebook friend request.
Absolutely.
And get that information from John, because he will mentor you and he's good at what he do.
And I love the fact that he's going to give you the real deal. He's not going to just do something to satisfy you so you can just be happy with the property and then it goes belly up. He's going to tell you the truth about what you're trying to invest in.
A lot of people don't like my truth. But I
So
tell
people don't like the true period.
People on their true period, right?
Right. So, yeah, so not our viewers though. It's not.
Yeah.
Hopefully, it's like you here today, John.
I understand that. What else you got?
Oh, what else we got, huh? Oh, we got a lot for you. Don't you worry.
Bring it on.
Get into the Airbnb. What do you
Let's
think?
talk about Airbnb.
Yeah.
So, John, I gotta ask you, as an investor, as a landlord, a owner, what made you get into the Airbnb space? Let's talk about the Airbnb space now. What made you decide to do
You've done
Airbnb?
it all.
Yeah, you done it all.
I don't have an Airbnb business.
What you got?
Aha, see, good question right away. Airbnb it's like an Amazon or eBay, okay? You don't have an Amazon or eBay business. You have an online retail business that uses Amazon or eBay as a platform to advertise your product.
Mm.
Same here. Same exact thing here. The true definition is a short-term rental.
Yeah, short-term rentals.
That's the right terminology. STR, short-term rentals. So they used to be called corporate housing, short-term apartments, apartment rentals, executive housing, executive apartments, vacation housing, temporary housing.
There's nothing new.
They're all different terminologies for the same thing. They've been around forever, but it's all under the main classification of is a serviced apartment. So the true definition is a serviced apartment that's in the format of a short-term rental. So Airbnb is just another platform. It's like VRBO, Media, TripAdvisor. Everybody, even Facebook, has different formats to be able to advertise your rental property. So Airbnb is the Amazon of the industry because they do such amazing marketing.
Yes.
They're the ones that are in the public eye all the time. Either in court or trying to make things work, but they're the monster out there. They're the Amazon. But so that's why everybody knows it as an Airbnb business. But truly, it's just a short-term rental business that's been around for many, 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 many years.
Why did you choose the Airbnb platform?
That's not the only platform I use. I do get most of my rentals off of Airbnb because it fits my business profile the best.
Yes.
So you have to figure out what suits your business model. And Airbnb is one of the ones that fits my business model. VRBO doesn't fit my business model as much. I've talked to them a lot on the phone, and what I'm doing doesn't fit their format that much. The customer base is different with VRBO than it is for me.
Yes.
So that's why I picked Airbnb as my main platform, but I've got my own websites. I do advertise on other medias, but I get most of my bookings from them.
I love it. I love it. So now that we've kind of changed the language to short-term rental, so we know on the Airbnb platform, a short-term rental would have a different, like you can rent out a house, you can rent out a room, you can rent out. We do RV for our short-term rental. What type of short-term rental do you have?
Yes. Now look at your wife.
Well,
She's there. Tell her hello.
I farmed my area very well. I really know my section of Will County. And because of what we do here in this area, it's growing exponentially because of certain things. And if you understand what it's trying to do, then you can figure out how to serve that community better. So that's the biggest thing with trying to figure out how to be profitable in business is figure out, well, one, you have to figure out your why. Why are you in business? What's going to keep driving you when things get tough and you get beat up a lot? You know, figure out your why. Then you figure out your who. Your who is, who do you really want to serve? And with us, we thought, we really did some homework and assumed that we were right in the beginning. So we tried this as an experiment. What we do is we've blended a lot of different strategies for short-term rental together. And kind of made our own. And the basis that we do is a short-term rental, but we do a room for rent. Now, the majority of the room for rent scenarios that I've heard in the past are, and mostly in my area, would be for people that just they're out of a divorce. There's 100 different reasons that somebody is going to want to move into a house long term. But that is not the kind of guest we wanted to serve. We wanted to serve a shorter term guest in a room for rent situation because there's so much construction going on in our area. There's hospitals in our area, so we were tailor fitting some of our business model for traveling nurses. We were doing a lot of it for execs coming in for different big businesses that were coming into the area, the construction crews that are coming in. There's the refineries here in the area, and they have turnover. So imagine everybody that's a higher end blue collar or a white collar worker that's coming in, that's going to the hotels, that don't really want the hotel experience and the hotel cost. Because a bad hotel here in this area, and one I wouldn't even say the name of because it's really kind of a bad hotel, is about $119 a night. You can get one even cheaper, but I don't know. I think they do those by the hour. So, but the $120 a night one, if it's a single person that's living in Texas and he's coming up to Will County to work 7 days a week, 12 to 16 hours a day to make as much money as he can to be able to go back home to make his family live through the rest of the winter until he gets another contract job, isn't to pay $120. So I give him the same experience at a reduced rate, but he's sharing that house with a couple of others.
Right. So just for our viewers, just so they can understand, so John, he has a house and he rents out individual rooms for his Airbnb. And it kind of like what Melissa said earlier, just to make sure we all following along. Melissa talked about earlier how we rent out RVs. John, he rents out a house and rent out each room. So now you can see the different types of Airbnbs individuals can run. Also, we have ran into people that just rent out their lots or just the space in the yard where people come set up their tents and stuff like that. So there's so many ways you can do an Airbnb.
And don't forget, they also have that the rental, short-term rental. Even if you live inside the home, you can rent a room while you're living in the home.
Yeah. So
that's another way. There's so many ways.
There's so many different strategies within this. The main category for real estate investing, it's considered buy and hold. Okay, that's the main category for the real estate investing side of it. But when it comes down to the short-term rental section of that classification, you have hundreds of different ways. And you're right. Yeah. I know people that are renting out just a space in the middle of a ranch.
Yeah.
There you go.
Drive their truck to and put up a tent, and that's their Airbnb. It's their tent in the middle of a ranch with a fire pit.
John, people are creative. I seen I think YouTube about a couple of months ago where they had people renting out their pools. Just the pool. People just want to come swim. You can rent out people pools. That's how creative people are becoming.
Yeah. And mostly with the COVID scenario, there are so many different things that you can tweak if you have any asset. You can modify that asset to be able to help people get away from their daily life, even if it's just for a day. Or
absolutely.
So it's creativity in business.
So how do you protect your investment?
As far as what?
Your Airbnb. How do you protect your investment? People want to know, if I get an Airbnb tomorrow, how do I protect this investment? And when I say investment, as far as maybe my television, my stove, my refrigerator, stuff like that, how do you protect your investment?
Like I said, we modified our platform to a specific clientele. So with us having room for rent, I make it very, very plain that common areas are not your rental. You are renting the room. And because I rent to different people of both sexes, I wanted to make sure that people felt comfortable. So I have security cameras inside the house. Now, on most of the platforms, if I was to rent the entire house, I couldn't have a security system inside because that would be an invasion of privacy. in my contract with them through Airbnb, it's very plain. And as soon as they come into the place, I show them where the cameras are. I explain that where they are, they're not pointed towards a bedroom. They're not pointed towards a bathroom. They're for your safety and security. So that's one of the things that I built in. And the other thing is just making sure that I understand why people are coming in to my house.
Yes.
Right.
It's very easy to ask the question, why do you need to come to Joliet?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, I'm coming to work at Exxon for the turnover, and I'll be there for 3 months. Okay. Now I understand it's not a party goer. And with my rules that I have that they sign off on,
Yes.
I have a very extensive list of rules. It's like 3 pages, where most people, when they list rules on an Airbnb, it's 1 paragraph. Mine are 3 pages. And I make sure that when they show up, they've read them.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so when John, you talking about common areas, you talking about the kitchen, the living room areas, the hallways, stuff like that.
Utility rooms, all those extra rooms. The only thing that they're renting is the bedroom.
And do each guest, do they have keys to get in and out their rooms? How do that work?
On the houses that I'm setting up for room for rent, there are locked. They're digital push button doorknobs, and the same doorknob code that gets you into the front and back door, any of the outside entrance doors, is the same code that gets you into your bedroom.
Right. Everybody got their own unique code.
Everybody has their own unique code. So if anybody codes into anything, I know about it. I get a record of it. I also have Ring cameras. So if somebody's coming in or out of the house, I know about it. It's recorded. I've never had a problem. And anybody that's ever that I've explained it to, always say, hey, that's a great idea. Thanks. So anybody that's wanting to hide something is going to have a problem with it. And those aren't the people that I want to have in my house anyway.
Absolutely.
Now, do you have, far as what's the longest they can stay?
I don't have a time period on my upper end. I should for more protection, but I still have it rented out on the platform. So that is something that I'd like to tweak, but some of the people have been there for a handful of months.
Okay.
Because some of their contracts, like some of my traveling nurses, when they come in, they'll sign a 2-month contract, and before they get done, they'll sign an extension for another 6 weeks.
Okay.
So I don't have an upper end, but I should, and there's ways that I can move them from one room to another and still offer the same protection. Because the only thing I'd be worried about is trying to set up residency. And I don't have to worry about setting up residency because one of the main key ingredients of setting up residency is mail. And I do not let them get any mail, any package deliveries. I don't even like them to get a pizza delivered. I don't complain about them getting food delivery, of course, but they can't put anything in their name and deliver to the house. That is completely against house rules. I'll ask you to move.
Oh, wow. And I think we spoke before. I think you said Airbnb fall up under the hotel rules if you need to put somebody out, pretty much. If
you set it up properly, and I've tried to set myself up as properly as I can, then there's never a problem with that. It's these people are coming into work, then they're going home. So I don't have that issue, but if I ever did, I think I'm safeguarded against that because of the way that I'm setting my house rules up.
Right. I think it's great how you're running your Airbnb for those first line of defense employees, during COVID and things like that. That was probably perfect for them because you had a lot, and you still have a lot of traveling nurses who need a space like that, and they don't want to be in a hotel, and they want a personal space all their own and not have to pay as much as you would at a hotel. So I think it's great what you're doing.
Well, I also add another layer of protection for them and for me, and that's I have a weekly house cleaner that comes in and she cleans common areas. So she's there to do the inspection of the house. If anything isn't the way I want, I know about it right away. Thing is not, it doesn't get drug on for a long period of time before I catch it. I see it right away.
Right.
She comes and she cleans everything and sterilizes everything. So everything's sanitized once a week. And
that makes all the difference.
And before we go to a commercial break, John, because I want to talk about it before it slips my mind, since we talk about housekeeping. How did you find your housekeeper? A lot of people that's doing Airbnb, they want to know how can they find a housekeeper, because me and Melissa, we don't do the cleaning as well. We pay somebody to come in to do our cleaning as well, and we have it included in our Airbnb fee.
a successful short-term rental business, housekeeping is the key. If you don't have a dependable housekeeping staff that does what they need to do, your business is going to fail.
Yes.
It's that simple. So you're going to get bad reviews. You're going to get people that are upset. You're going to have to compensate them financially. It's going to drive you nuts with the aggravation, and you're going to fail.
Yeah.
So, for me, I went through a handful of them, and you will. And the best thing to do is have backups as well. So it's smart to have 2 or 3 different people that are dependable.
Did you put an ad out looking for them, or somebody recommended?
It's recommendations, and I give them the first couple times they're there. I've got a big, very detailed, itemized sheet that I give them that this is how I want my place cleaned. And because this is easy to do every week, this is what I expect, and this is the amount of time that I expect it to take. And I stay with them the first couple of times to see if they have any questions and to make sure they do what I need to do.
Nice.
Wonderful.
Yeah, it's wonderful. So we're going to take a commercial break. We're going to come back with John Harmon. We're going to finish this Airbnb discussion because I know our viewers want to know what if I don't have no money?
What about the short-term rental?
Airbnb started? Huh?
The short-term rental or the
Airbnb? Short-term rental, yes.
Okay.
All right, we'll be back with Mr. John Harmon.
You're lacking in education today.
All right.
wow. Now that was Bomb Hunter, Live Traders, and of course, Farm Hill Coffee. Start your day the Farm Hill way. Available on Amazon. And if you are interested in advertising on Contemporary Living, you can send us an email to contemporaryliving22@gmail.com. That's contemporaryliving22@gmail.com. All right, we're back into this conversation, aren't we? Or you got something to say?
So we got to let our viewers know as well that the Farm Hill Coffee is our brand of coffee.
Yes.
You can order it on Amazon. We will provide the link below as well. So it's our own brand of coffee. We was working on it for months. Melissa did mostly all the hard work getting it started, finding the roaster and stuff like that. So we appreciate everyone that has supported the coffee.
Eileen says, awesome coffee commercial. Thank you, Eileen.
Yes, thank you.
That.
Yeah, so without further ado, we're going to bring Mr. John Harmon back in, and we're going to finish this short-term rental discussion. John, you still there?
I am. Right.
Nice.
Smart terminology. I'm so proud of you.
See, I'm learning something today.
Short-term, we're going to get back into short-term rentals. Now, one of the things that you said, that was one of my questions, but you kind of answered it. You said, know your why, and also what do you want out of this, out of what you're doing? But one of the things you said, I want you to explain to our viewers, how would you farm your area? Because that seems like a piece of important information that they need to have when they're starting, if they're interested in starting an Airbnb.
You're right. Well, I think that the first thing they needed to figure out is, like I said, they need to figure out their why. They need to figure out what's going to drive them.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And why do you want to do this business? There's going to be struggles. There's going to be some major obstacles. You need to figure out how to get past that. But the end game, it's really worth it. Like a lot of people ask, what's the upside financially of this? And you can expect on a short-term rental, depending on how you're structured, whether you have a 8,000 square foot house with 10 bedrooms, or like me, I'm renting out a room for rent. So depending on what you really have that you're renting, you can expect 2 to 6 times normal rent factor for an Airbnb business.
Right.
So that's kind of what you're looking for as far as the profits. But after you figure out your why, you need to figure out your who. So there's a chronological way that you have to go about processing this to be able to get where you need to go. Be able to answer your question on farming your area. You need to figure out your who. Who do you really want to serve? So that's a big question. So do you want to serve corporate customers, ones that are coming for training centers, business hubs, construction guys, salesmen? Do you want to do emergencies, storm damage, fire, flooding, natural disasters? Maybe they had a crime in their home. They got to get out of the house for a while. Life events. Are people coming in for a wedding? Are they coming in for a funeral, graduation, reunion, holidays? New addition to the family, okay? Medical, like me. Long-term medical treatments for family. Temporary living because they're elderly care. Traveling medical staff. Seasonal customers. Do you want to deal with people that are coming in for a beach or a national park? Or you got a place in the woods and they're coming in for hunting or fishing? Military. Are they coming in for temporary duty? Are the families coming in to be able, because you're close to a military base?
Right.
Entertainments. There's a list of things that you need to figure out who you want to serve. After you figure out who you want to serve, then you'll know exactly where you need to be. So if you want to serve families that are traveling on vacation, you'll want to get close to someplace like a beach, a mountain home, Disney. You won't want to go someplace where people would never even consider, like in the middle of Des Moines, looking at a cornfield. People aren't going to come and visit your Airbnb that much. See, I said Airbnb just for you. They're not going to come to your short-term rental that much. You're going to have vacancies. So After you know your who, then you'll know your where. The why is the how and the why. The why is your root of why you're doing everything, but the how is easy. You invest in yourself. You tie into people that are doing it successfully, and you ask a lot of questions, and you have them help you not make bad decisions. So don't strive off on yourself, because there's a lot of people like me that are willing to help.
Right.
So, go ahead, man.
I was going to say that's really important, because a lot of people, like when they start a business or even an air or short-term vacation, I'm stumbling because it's a new language. But
Yes.
short-term rental, it's a new language, but not a new language.
Yes.
A short-term rental, they just want to put it up without even thinking, well, who am I here to serve? And that's so important, because guess what? When you know why you're there, you can eliminate everything else.
Right.
Now you know who your customer is.
A lot of communities are in love with short-term rentals.
Yeah.
They generate a tremendous amount of local revenue. They generate tax revenue. They generate a lot of.
Sure do.
If you're close to an area that you're bringing in people that for events, then those people are here to spend a lot of money. So
Absolutely.
they're going to go. They're going to hit the higher end bars. They're going to hit the higher end restaurants. They're going to do the stadiums. They're going to spend a lot of money. A lot of communities really like short-term rental businesses. There are some that hate short-term rental businesses.
Yes, you had those too. John, so I'm a young man coming into my own, and I've heard this wonderful message about the short-term rental, aka Airbnb.
That's the platform.
and I may not have no finances, John. How do I get started? Where do I start if I'm an individual that doesn't have a lot of money to get started with short-term rentals?
There's a lot of different ways to get started. So one of my friends, what he's doing, it's a strategy that it's complicated. He studied a lot to be able to get it right. And he got mentored by some people that are doing it. But what he's doing is he's going in and he's finding landlords similar to people like me that he sits down and explains the benefits of the short-term rental versus the long-term rental.
Rental arbitrage.
Yeah.
There's a huge benefit to a property owner to have it managed through short-term rental from people like me.
Yeah.
If I'm I have a lot of long-term properties. Some of those properties I haven't been in 12 months. I just haven't needed to get into that house. So I really don't know what it looks like. So on a short-term rental, you're there you have somebody inspect and clean that house every time somebody comes in or leaves. And the overall time limit is like 3 to 7 days. Somebody's in the house 3 to 7 days looking at the house. So he convinces the property owners to let him have it as a short-term rental, and he leases it out long-term, and then he basically sublets it as a short-term rental. So you have a transition period, and he just collects the profit in the middle. Now, he does have setup costs for staging and all the miscellaneous that it takes to get set up in that business. So there is an upfront cost, but
now
can help you.
Now, is the owner taking care of the staging or the individual?
The individual.
The individual.
The host.
The host, right.
Takes care of the staging. And staging is everything from the furniture to the it depends on what your system is. Like with him, he rents out a 3-bedroom, 1.5 bathroom house. So he does spices in the kitchen cabinets. He does all the silverware. Anything that you would need to cook with other than the food itself is in the house. The towels, the bedding, he tries to make it a good experience for them.
Yes.
So he has a lot more setup costs than what I do. But
Yes, and
he's able to collect a bigger profit per month if he stays as booked as I do. If we're booked the same amount of time, the same amount of vacancy rate and occupancy rate, then he's going to profit more, but he's got a lot more setup costs. A lot more risk.
No, I know your portfolio in real estate is really diverse. Would you consider, or do you do rental arbitrage with perhaps some of your properties? Would you consider that?
I do. The properties that I saw that had a benefit as a short-term rental,
Mm-hmm.
When the leases were up with my long-term tenants, I transitioned those out into short-term rentals.
Oh,
So
nice. There you go.
now that I've converted from long-term to short-term. Now, a lot of people don't understand what the difference is between long-term and short-term. So let me break that down.
yes.
You still have 365 days in a year. I don't care how you look at it. That's just the way it is. So with a rental, you have 365 days to rent it. With a long-term property, you take that 365 days for a set dollar amount, and then you break it up into 12 equal payments.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
With a short-term rental, you take that 365 days, but you consider it in 24-hour blocks, and you're renting out that 24-hour block or blocks to a person, but you collect a premium for that because it's a shorter period of time. You're going to have different vacancies between guests, and you have to do staging. So there's a lot of things that part of the staging, high-speed internet, all the furniture, everything that you need to put into it. There's a lot of different things. So that's the difference between the short-term and rental, short-term and long-term is the way you're using that 365 days in that year, whether you're considering it a day or whether it's considering a 24-hour period.
Well, one thing you did mention, just to let our guests know that normally, I know for us, your housekeeper is normally your first line of defense when it comes to anything being damaged in your property or anything wrong, because they'll let you know once they're going to clean that they done spotted something that's out of order.
Actually, they're my second layer.
They're your second layer?
My first layer is the guests themselves because they want to have a good experience.
Yeah.
I've had guests break things and instantly send me a message and send me a picture and say, if you order it, send me the bill.
Yeah.
So I don't even have to track it down most of the time. I've never had a problem that I had to find that there was a problem. They are always able to tell me. And that's part of my business model, who I'm trying to serve.
Now, before for time's sake, I'm gonna ask you a couple of quick questions. Do you for your internet? Do you just stream for internet, as far as movies and stuff like that? I know we do Netflix. We have no cable. Everything we have is streamed. What about you?
I do Roku TVs.
Yes, we do Roku.
All of my TVs are Roku TVs, and I don't put in Netflix and things. Most of the people that are coming in already have their Netflix or Apple TV subscriptions. So the majority of the people already have that. So they use my format and just jack their information in, and then they still got access to their accounts.
Do you provide water, wine, anything like that?
No, because they're renting the room. They're not renting the house. I'm not trying to give them an experience where most people are trying to get the experience. So they can experience a happy. I'm not giving that to them. I'm bare bones, buddy. You bring your stuff.
Model.
Go back to your business model.
Right.
Go back to who you're trying to serve.
Right.
I'm trying to serve the people that are trying to save a few bucks. They're coming into town and they're trying to work their butts off, save as much money, and go home to their families with a pocket load of money. I'm trying to help those people do that. I'm trying to make a lot of money.
I love this because it shows you the difference. Our model is totally opposite than your model.
Yes.
We serve in families and we provide an experience. And listening to your story is just amazing.
I don't want an experience. No experience.
It just goes to show you why the depth and the breadth of short-term rentals is, how it actually is. Now let's talk about. We
got about 2 minutes.
Okay, we're short for time, but what have been some challenges that you've had in managing your short-term rental? It sounds like you pretty much have it under control, but everybody experiences things. What are some of the challenges that you've come across that you've been able to overcome?
I'm new basically to this. I haven't hit my 12-month period. Yes, I've got quite a few of these out there. So I have very little negative experience.
Oh, wow.
I've had a couple, and they've both been with the same guy.
And,
well, he was going through an ugly divorce. That's why he was looking for a place until the divorce was settled, and then he was going to buy a house. But this is a white-collar stockbroker that drove all the way to Chicago to the Mercantile. So every day. So this was an exec. But every weekend, he liked to hit the bottle. But he would get he would get so drunk that he'd have a hard time remembering his code to get in the house or to get into his room. So I've had the cops called on him twice, and then contact me through my Ring doorbell going, do you know this guy? He's crashed in his car and we don't like that. I'm like, yes, I'll buzz him in, get him upstairs.
Right.
It's fine. But
Yeah.
nice. His code. So if that's the least of my drama, I like this business model.
Right.
Yeah, I love your business model too.
Yeah, I think we only had one bad experience with a stripper party.
Right.
Right. With me, that doesn't happen.
Right. That's So thank God for Facebook. So John. So just on the average, just let our viewers know before we close out and get your information. What's the max somebody can make? Just throw a number out there monthly doing a short-term rental Airbnb.
You can't come up with that number. So because you don't know what every area is different. What I'm doing in Will County is going to be completely different than what somebody's doing in Texas.
Right.
But we can say that it's better than a monthly rental. More than likely, it would be better than a
monthly rental.
You can figure 2 to 5 times normal rent factor if you're set up correctly.
Absolutely.
And sometimes you can go a lot more than even 5 times.
Absolutely.
Yeah, depending where you're at. Yeah, because we seen some areas over in Wicker Park. They was doing about, I think, like $250 to $350 a night.
Even more in some
Right.
areas.
Yeah.
But you got to figure overall, what did it cost to set the property up?
Right. That's
What's the cost for their fees, their monthly fees, their overhead? There's a lot of extra cost involved in this. So what's really their net? You can see what their gross is, but you got to figure out. So, and also their occupancy and vacancy. You got to figure out how much they're occupied versus what a long-term tenant's going to be there for 12 months.
Right.
So you got to figure out all of that. So overall, if you can get double to 5 times your normal rent factor, those are really good numbers because that takes into account your net, not your gross.
Yeah.
All right, John. So if our viewers, the people that's watching today want to contact you, how can they contact you?
Please feel free. There you go. There's my email address. Like they said in the beginning, I did co-author a book, and it's about how we got started in real estate investing. Feel free to send me an email, ask me for a copy of my ebook, and I'd be happy to send you a free copy. I'm not trying to pitch my book. I'll give it to you for free just because somebody in that book might relate to one of the stories that are in there from investors like myself on how we got started. So that's mainly the topic of the book, on how we got started.
This has been great.
So make sure y'all send John an email and get a free copy of his book, and also follow him on Facebook as well, John Harmon on Facebook. Watch some of his videos on some rehab work he has done. If you want to partner up with John, as a matter of fact, if you want John to refer you for short-term rentals, let him know. He can send you the link. And guess what? John will get about $600 from Airbnb, just to let you guys know as well. So help John out tonight. Right. Yeah. And so John's a Superhost. John, you may be becoming an ambassador soon. I don't know if you received an email about becoming an Airbnb ambassador, but you're doing such a good work out there. We appreciate everything that you do.
Yeah, we do. And thank you for sharing and imparting knowledge, giving us new terms to use, because that language matters. Language definitely matters. And I love that phrase, short-term rental, because that's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
All right. So we thank everybody for tuning in. John, thank you. We got to get ready to close out.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate being here.
All right. Appreciate it. Thank you. That was wonderful.
It was so much information in such little time.
Yes, that time goes quick.
Absolutely.
So as we get ready to close out, as always, we thank God for his unmerited, undeserving favor called grace. For grace is the total absence of any works. You can't work for grace. You can't buy grace. You can't sell it. It is simply what God has given to each and every one of us, because we believe Christ died for our sins. He was buried, and he rose again the third day for our justification. On behalf of myself and my lovely wife, Melissa, in Contemporary Living, be blessed.